General advice, warning and disclaimer. Opinions, thoughts, research, recommendations and content presented are general advice only. They do not take into account your specific circumstances. Please consult a financial professional before making any investment decisions. For further information on our disclaimers and general advice, please see our website and our PDS.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Here it's Jonathan Takadena and Kai Chen in our studio for this week's episode of Bulls versus Bears. So, because of technical difficulties, we can't have our normal boardroom, but here we are.
So, I believe a missing laptop charger.
Yeah, exactly. So someone's taken and just as a side note, USB-Cs are not all created equal. So just because all the plugs are the same size doesn't mean you can just charge everything with the same USB. And obviously the tech companies do that to just keep their moat intact there. So yeah, one of those business things. But anyway, we'll just carry on and talk about the markets in general. So Kai Chen, you were in media, sick as a dog on Monday.
Yes.
But you still sold your dog.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. I think Nadine was you didn't too cold today, didn't want to make it into the studio. I was like, no, this is not to spread the germs.
Exactly.
No, but it was a call with David Lane.
Yep.
We went through some of the.
So there's the actual studio shot there. Okay.
What do we go through? Adair came out with, it was stock of the day, came out with their earnings.
Mm-hmm.
They reported fairly poorly because they acquired a furniture store a couple of years ago. Furniture, I think it was Furniture Go. But yeah, it's missed expectations massively. So it's actually decreased in sales by about 50%. So the market didn't really take
50%.
Yeah, that's not good.
That's a decent miss there. Yeah.
So not good for a dare. So 20% down on the day.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no. Otherwise, most of them were pretty stock standard.
I think you just. I think having a chat. You like Cube Logistics though, don't you?
Cube was good.
Yeah.
Cube was good. Like they've got a Pratrix joint venture, which they own a lot of the port operations in Australia. That's done really well. Horizon, I'm just like, yeah, man, this is the biggest mean reversion trade ever. But it has broken out to the downside. So not positive because the main majority of their logistics is for coal.
Mm-hmm.
So it hasn't been a very good year or so for coal stocks in general in terms of shipping volumes. So,
Okay, well, there you go. So I had the call. I think not the call. I was on AusBiz Tuesday morning. So I was just called in for the news. And I remember Andrew. Every time I'm on with Andrew, he always just asks, "Is CBA a buy?" and I've tried to be consistent. I just said, no,
but yes.
No, it's heading high. It's heading higher, and I just keep saying it. Yeah, it's a buy because I'm a momentum guy, and it's got the strongest momentum. It doesn't make any fundamental sense. It's we know it's the most expensive bank in the world. It is still the best of the big four. But I did say that I think we'll probably be having this conversation at $200 again. And my main thesis, and you'll see it that I've talked about it, is that it's that wall of money. So that wall of money, the super fund money, it goes into the index by market cap. Mm-hmm. Okay, and it doesn't go, is Commonwealth Bank undervalued, overvalued? It just goes, what's the market cap? Apparently it's 12 cents of the market cap of the market now. Yeah. So every dollar that comes in, at least 12 cents has to go to Commonwealth Bank. So that's why it just keeps going higher. I mean, like you just said, when the stocks have market darlings, they just go higher and higher. It's like, as an example, all the telcos were running, but Telstra, just like that's the main stalwart in that index, and it just kept flying. So yeah, so here we are. I mean, like we're back at 8,600 on the XJO. S&P's at new highs. NASDAQ hit new highs. S&P, I think, touched new highs, but didn't quite make an official new high. But the market's just basically shaken off the Middle East, and that's our topic on the first page. Middle East peace. Then I put a question mark there because it doesn't matter.
For now.
Yeah.
For now.
Well, for now, so it mattered for maybe half a week. From the article, it says it's been 12 days of conflict. And, remember, like, Trump dropped the F-bomb, basically. So what he was boasting was that there was a 12-hour ceasefire arranged, and then within 1 hour, Israel were dropping bombs, and then
By the time you get it in.
yeah, exactly. And then basically he dropped the F-bomb because he was like, these guys, don't know what they're doing. So that's and because we're markets guys, like what putting aside the fact that we're talking about actual war, people losing lives, it's tragedy, but the markets have just shaken it off. So what happened was Monday morning, I was anticipating, because obviously the war just kept escalating, and there were. Trump was talking about, I've won't do anything for I think 2 weeks, and then over the weekend they sent their B-2 bombers in and said that they destroyed their nuclear program.
I wonder how much of it is pre-planned. It's like it's the old WWE. It's like just let me bomb you a couple of times, and then we're gonna go for a ceasefire.
They actually admit that that's what they do. Like they, it's like, okay, we'll have a ceasefire, but then I think US would abandon one of their military posts, and they would just say, "Can you at least let us strike that?" That's if you look into some of the actual transcripts, that's what they actually do. So a lot of it is WWE. It's actually full show, and it's all pre-planned.
And they're pre-warned Qatar. It's like, guys, we're going to strike you now. And it's like, no, you guys are very bad, Iran. Very bad.
So and I guess the main thing I'd like to take away is that I'm just glad that we live in Australia where we are so far away from all of this. So I remember, before COVID, everyone would complain about Australia being so far away, and then COVID said it turned it into a feature. Basically, aren't we so glad that we're so far away from everything?
Geographically, I reckon us and New Zealand are probably the best place in the world.
Exactly. So there you go. So Middle East peace.
What do you reckon in terms of? Do you reckon the market's got it right in terms of discounting that? Well, I guess it has kind of been right in discounting the risk involved with the Middle East.
I think just in general, and this was before the most recent escalation, is that the markets just keep shaking it off. And I thought this escalation would actually be the one where the market actually takes notice, but it didn't last very long. And I just said, look, so barring, and I don't want to preempt any of this, but just barring an actual nuclear strike, I think the whatever happens, you just buy that dip.
So it's raised to the next level. Nuclear is the level where. Well, all the wars have been discounted, right? Like
exactly. So
Ukraine, Iran, it seems like the bar for conflict is a lot higher in terms of what the market is willing to
exactly. So the markets just shake it off. If you look at I don't know the volumes there, but the Israeli, I think the Tel Aviv index is at new highs. Wow. So that just shows war's actually good for the markets. Hate to say it, but that's a pretty, we're at pretty much new highs, and the markets just shake it all off. So, and as I said, like the market's not always right, but you have to trade what the market's doing. So you could try and go, try and predict it and think that the market should go down. And I have been on Ausbiz and I have said that this is a bear market rally, but it's just shaking everything off, and we're at new highs. So there we go. So ASX stocks, Aussie stock news for this week. Virgin Australia had a very successful IPO. It was a 290 listing. I remember it closed at 312. I haven't checked it today. Greatland Gold actually listed as well. So that's actually a decent sized market cap, and being the self-proclaimed Ausbiz gold bug, I do like it. Apparently, it is about 25% cheaper than the Australian listed names. So that's basically based on ASIC and actual valuation and ounces in reserves. So keep an eye on Greatland. That's done really well. Xero bought or bid for Melio in the US. I forget the number. I said, here you go, 3.9 billion. Apparently, they're going to have to do a cap raise to fund that. I think 60% of it is, or 40% is in script. They'll have to raise the rest of in cash. And Reese came out with earnings today and missed.
Not good.
No, not good at all. And one of the board also left. I don't know if that was part of it, but yeah. So Reese down on that news, and yeah, just in general, a lot of the construction stocks haven't done well. Yeah, obviously James Hardy as well. So that's ASX news for the week, and then on to US. So just I will preface this that I run scans for all of the US, all the Aussie stocks. I've started to do that this week for the US, and yeah, I'll be pushing out some more global alpha content because I think there's a lot of demand out there. So just in general, we haven't fixed the pricing for the global alpha yet, but we'll be putting out trade recommendations specifically for the US. We also have access to the US via Morrison's as well. So if you don't want to stay up late at night trading the US, which I don't because I've got 2 young kids, but if you want MPC to manage that for you, we can do that as well.
Yes.
So, and the thing with the US and what I found is that the markets they move. They're a lot more volatile, and what that means is that there's just a lot more opportunity. I mean, like. So in Australia, my scans would be, companies that have a $40 million market cap or higher. That's, and we've got maybe 2,000 stocks in total. In the US, I'm looking at scans for companies 2 billion market cap and higher.
Yeah.
And I'm getting a lot more movement there. And what I found is that, I'm a momentum trader. So I look for breakouts and breakups and re-rates, not to say that it always happens, but just from the small sample sizes I've looked at in the US, when those things get momentum, they keep going. So, yeah, I think there'll be a lot of opportunity there. So just preface on that. First one, I actually talked to Richard. So Richard Nader. I was just going through the scans yesterday. I'm like, have a look at QuantumScape, and I keep a journal of my recs as well. I wrote down that I'd pay up to $6 for that. It opened at $5.80 yesterday and closed at $7.50. So yeah, that thing was trading, I think maybe $3.80 2 days ago. It came up on my scans because it made a new high, but it was based on news. QuantumScape came onto my radar on the previous lithium boom. so this was back when Pilbara was maybe $16 and MinRes was $100. Yeah, so during that boom. So not the most recent one. This is actually the previous boom. QuantumScape came out and said they have a new solid state battery. Now I'm not an expert in battery tech, but basically solid state is like the next generation of batteries. The main draw with solid state batteries is that they can be charged a whole lot faster than any conventional battery technology, and they also can carry the equivalent amount of charge as current technology. So the battery size doesn't have to be that much bigger than current size in terms of energy density, but the thing is it charges super quick. So I think it almost charges instantly. Like you can actually charge up a battery within a few minutes.
Wow!
So this was back 5 odd years ago. So this is way back. That stock fell off my radar, but then I looked at it on the scans. I read it up, and the main thing that they were struggling with it is that the technology works in a lab, but it's always commercializing it. And commercializing it means producing it at scale at a reasonable price. And that was the main breakthrough, that their process, they were able to get it to the next stage. Because when you're producing something brand new, you tend to start small and then scale it up. As they were trying to scale up the production, they met a few roadblocks, and it looks like one of those roadblocks have been taken away, and that's why it has jumped 70% in the last 2 trading days. So that's just an example of US stock news. Tesla was in the news again. What was the main news?
Robotaxis. So they're going to have robotaxis pretty soon.
Robotaxis and Xiaomi. So that's Hong Kong listed, but the thing is they have. Yep.
Xiaomi's awesome. I think actually they are almost like the Apple plus Tesla plus like combined of China.
But the thing is they've come out with their first car.
Yeah,
that's the whole point. Like basically, I know Xiaomi for their electronics. Like they've got good price smartphones. I mean, like they've got ones that I remember at the beginning they were like extremely basic, but now they're even more advanced than Apple phones now.
I actually think some of the products are really good. I've got a Xiaomi laptop.
Yeah,
phone.
Absolutely. That's what I mean. So the
quality products.
The whole premise of China, all they produce is just cheap goods. It's actually we're way past that. That was maybe
cheap is still there.
It's still there. But the thing is, like the actual quality, and then in some cases they're the leaders.
Yeah.
So that's what people need to sort of get out of their minds. I remember when I was looking for a car. This is a couple of years back. My family's growing, so I needed an SUV, and I read a lot of car reviews. I like motoring journalists, and the Korean Kias were the best rated ones from the journalists. Mm-hmm. I drove it. I drove the Japanese the cars, and I was just like, yeah, these guys have a point. Unfortunately, my wife being Japanese, she said, there's no way I'm driving a Korean car because she has that misconception. Mm. But I'm just like, hey, we have Samsung phones, and, car's just another, piece of machinery. But, in her mind, she couldn't get past that. So we ended up with a Honda. So that's one source. So that's US stock news for the week. Or maybe we can have a point. So just in general, very bullish week. Now, you would expect that because obviously we're at new highs for the NASDAQ, touching new highs for the S&P. I believe Mark and I were both bearish last week, so that's a cross for us. The markets have shaken off our wannabe bearish news and just moved on. And commodities. So I'm just going to read from the script here. So the main thing that I saw this week, gold, silver, copper, pretty flat, but copper just last night.
That's right.
That copper popped a little bit higher, touching that $5 mark. So $5 is kind of like that key level, and silver. So silver broke through 35. It was touching on 37, and it's kind of consolidated for maybe couple of weeks now, and we're silver bulls. We wanted to see that massive move, but it did pop up overnight, and it's back maybe 36.5 and looking a lot more positive.
So I think from a technical standpoint, that's very constructive because it's had a chance to pull back. I mean, even gold after the peace settlement, it tried to pull back maybe like 2% or something like that. There was enough reasons for silver to go down. But,
someone came in and bought it up.
Held up there.
Exactly. Platinum. So that one's been the hot metal. Made a new high again last night as well. So that's leading the way. Crude was the most volatile one, obviously. So on Monday, so we had the US coming in with their, or was it nuclear strikes, but they were striking Iran's nuclear facilities. Crude gapped up on Monday, and then there was, a peace deal negotiated overnight on the Monday, and then it dropped, it gapped down. So I think at its highs, crude got to maybe $74, and it's back down at 64 now. So, everything's heading lower. Bitcoin, fairly stable. It actually went under 100,000 late last week, but that's been quickly bought up. It's trading about 107. And the main reason why the metals are jumping is that the dollar index. Dollar index is actually back down at 97 now, and looking quite weak. So, a lot of times, we will be trading US a lot more now, but we have to factor in that that US dollar could be getting weaker.
Yes.
So while we're making money in US dollars, we have to make more because it's getting worth less and less. So that's something we have to keep in mind. Economy and politics. So the main Mark, our chief graphic designer, or chief
creative chief designer.
Anyway, he's great on Canva. He actually drew out a graphic with Trump with his scrolls. Like he actually had a scroll rolling to the ground for his to-do list. And one of them was, he was like, watch out for Trump. July, there's a deadline, July 8th or 9th. That's when the tariffs are due. So before the deadline, what happened was, I remember, we're going to put 150% tariffs on China. That's what Trump would say. China would come back and go, no, we'll go 150 as well. And then, look, it was a tit for tat, and they were talking like 300% at one stage, like just ridiculous numbers. There was a pause there. And then, the date's coming up now, but now Trump's just come out this week and said, oh, no, that date's not that important. So, another reason that the stock market has pretty much.
Wait, how many deals has got? I think it was in like two nego. Oh, he's.
I think it's still at 2.
Yes, I think, and I think Japan pulled out of the deal because.
Oh, there you go. So maybe he's lost one.
And I think because what was it like? It was talking about military spending, because it was saying basically both NATO, Japan, Australia, everyone has to go up to 5% GDP in terms of spending, and I think Japan was like, yeah, no, that's not happening.
Well, Spain actually said they weren't going to join, and then Trump came in and said, no, we're gonna make them. I was just like, okay, how you going? Don't know how that works. But yeah, so one of the hottest trades this year has actually been defense stocks. So we've got Defend, and there's also a DTech ETF that we like. And then if you look at some of the individual names, they've just been absolutely on fire, like Drone Shield. We had like a resting order. But Drone Shield, we had a resting order at 207, so we got taken out on some of our longs there. But then, like, that's hit 230 now. So,
wow.
Yeah, massive moves on Drone Shield, and it's amazing. So Drone Shield, the news was that they got a $60 million contract, and the thing's like a $1.8 billion market cap. So you're like, okay, let's. Yeah, it doesn't quite add up, but as I often say, like, fundamentals don't always make sense, and then sometimes fundamentals do matter as well.
Yes. Well, I think especially these early on, new technology business, it's always the promise, right? Yeah. So it's not about the actual contract size, but if they are getting momentum and traction, there's an assumption that a lot more business will come in. So it's definitely different to a valuation of a mature business. Like if you're going to evaluate Telstra, I can tell you in the next 10 years it's probably going to earn, right? So for these ones, I think there's a huge element of expectation.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't forget, it's military.
That's right.
I remember the number was $280 million. That's what Israel was spending on bombs per day. Wow. Over the last couple of weeks. So $60 million in drone guns. So that's the thing about Drone Shield. It's like, look, whenever I have to do a graphic for Drone Shield, I always put an actual drones, because that's what. But it's actually just guns that actually take down drones.
It's interesting, right? I guess from a government spending point of view, defense is not a want. It's not a choice. It's a need.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas healthcare and education, don't worry about those. But it's funny. But like, I think in terms of prioritization, it's almost that is kind of in a way like how politicians would prioritize, right? Because like, as with all conflicts, like if you're definitely going to ping if you're not spending enough for defense, because it's very obvious. Whereas there's a lot of other social needs which are probably more important, they can be left for a while.
Yeah, we can get back to that.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll just leave it now. And last one, retail sales. So that was disappointing this week in the US. So retail sales missed. But yeah, like either way, the market doesn't care. it's at new highs. So don't fight it. Just in general, and then obviously with Global Alpha coming out with more Rex, we'll be trying to capture that momentum for clients. Here we go. Trade of the week, Findi. So this was one that I had on the small caps ages back. Probably talking a year ago now. Yeah, so roughly about that time. Back then, I was talking about it. I think it was about $6 when I first mentioned it, and then a couple weeks after it was at $8, and then a few weeks after that it was back at $4. So that's how volatile Findi is. So the main thing is that this week they appointed their lead manager. So they're IPOing in India, and the main thing is that if you look at valuations, there's a premium for Indian companies that are listed over there. So there's going to be a valuation arbitrage. Because they've now appointed lead manager, we think that the bottom's in on Findi. Obviously, there could still be some stale longs that have been caught at higher prices. But the guys that have been appointed, it's your job is to raise the profile, get this thing listed, and get investors excited about it. So we were typing out the recommendation. Mark was typing out the recommendation. I think it opened around the 390 mark. Quickly shot up to like 430. As we were releasing it, and then I think hit 470. The next day, it has pulled back. It's back at that 410 level now. But the thing is, the risk is out. We've got the lead manager in, who should be doing his job to get this thing, get that valuation in there. And then obviously they run on a different earnings schedule. And the thing is that management, every time that there's a hint of a deal coming through, they always tend to pop it through. So that's why we do like the company and have sent out that recommendation for Findi. So, because we are in our sort of one-on-one studio, I can't actually bring up the CNN Fear and Greed. But I do remember the number. It was slightly towards greed.
Definitely to the greed side.
And it was, last week it was more neutral. But it was around 63 on the greed scale, which makes sense. We're at new highs.
Every the world's problems have been resolved.
Exactly. So the cure for high prices is higher prices. So here we are. So with that, Kai, what's your call for next week?
I think we keep going higher. There's, again, it's after the conflict resolution, I think there's just no excuse now. Everyone's had a chance to take profits where they would have, and I think we'll just keep going higher.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so that's a bull for Kai, and I am on the same boat for bull. We've also got end of financial year, end of month on Monday. The markets tend to pump into that as well. So, I think we'll be higher by 1 or 2% next week. I think the S&P will make a new official high next week. And XJO is not too far behind as well. So I think we'll make it's end of financial year. So I think you might even get a high print on Monday, just because it's end of month. So any intraday SPY traders, just look for your levels and buy that dip.
Rather dip. Rather dip. It's worked for 15, 20 years.
I think it's worked for 100 years. I think it's worked longer than that. I think Warren Buffett's been around longer than 15, 20 years. Yeah, exactly. Because that's him. He just buys dip. So even though Buffett's like sitting on piles of cash, he's a valuation guy. So he's still waiting for value. But if he starts deploying money, then you know it's on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just generally think if he's going to find a deal, it won't be in the US. It'll be I remember he bought some Japanese trading houses, which is well over remember it was it Christmas last year he came out. So yeah, it's been a while since he actually bought something, and he found value in Japan. I think if he is looking for value, he will be overseas. So something in Europe, I think. But yeah, who knows? But anyway, so that's our show for the week. A little bit shorter than usual. But either way, thank you for listening, and
stay safe, and may we go higher.
that's it. Okay, thanks a lot. Bye.